what I'm really trying to do is give a little bit of a lesson on how to interact with Canvas effectively. So first, anytime you're dealing with online learning or a Canvas shell, even if or any sort of learning management system like that, whether it's Blackboard, Moodle, whatever it is that your class is using, there are discipline-specific ones like MATLAB and Desmos and all these different programs. Anytime, though, that you're dealing with something that's supposed to house a whole course, you want to make sure you've kind of explored a little bit. See it as an adventure. What happens if I click here? Let me check all these menus. Am I allowed to use them? And sometimes, because sometimes even really effective teachers, even good teachers, will have things in places that may not be intuitive to their students. And so what you want to do is anytime you're dealing with this, you want to explore all the different menus that you have accessible to you. And you want to maybe make a habit of doing this more regularly, because sometimes things change, or things teachers have the ability to publish or unpublish, or give you access or take away access periodically. Sometimes teachers can put dates on where things become visible after a certain date, or things become visible, disappear after you've turned them in, or after the deadline. Other times it's so those are things to be aware of. Things can change, especially and fairly easily in a digital environment, as opposed to a teacher giving you a handout and you kind of getting to hold on to it for a while. We're talking about an entire course embedded into a single web page or website, essentially. And so we want to know how the technology works. And as people who study communication and writing, we want to think about all these different writing technologies and consider questions about how interaction happens. How can I communicate best through this, or how can I make sure that I know what I need to know so that I can be successful? Whether it's my class or another class, go and explore. In my class, currently, I kind of changed things a little bit here and there, but currently I have almost everything in a full list of assignments on the page here. In order, by due date, everything's built. You can see it all. Some people don't show you it all because it can be overwhelming if you see an entire course all at once, and I kind of have this tension inside me about doing this. And so I'm doing it this way this time, but there's a certain part of me that's like, should I show them everything? Is that a good idea? Is that going to stress them out? So don't get stressed out by all the different things you can access. But just like with driving a car, sometimes you have to become familiar with the basic parts and start getting a feel and kind of playing around and clicking things before the car's actually turned on. Talk through it with, how does this thing work? The steering wheel turns left or right. Turn the lever for the flashy things on. How do you turn on the air conditioning? How do you turn on the radio? Sometimes just basic familiarity with things will help you have a better sense of where to go when you do get stuck. If there's a car coming in front of you and suddenly turning, you don't necessarily need to know where the blinker is as much as you need to know where the brake pedal is. And then as you become more familiar with things, even when you're going to hit the brake pedal, if you feel like you're going to need to veer into another lane, you may naturally click the blinker because it's become second nature, because you're more familiar with it. So same principle applies here. Hopefully that metaphor connects with you. So in this case, whatever you're looking at, if I'm clicking through, know that different teachers may have different home pages. I think CGC is starting to encourage a lot of instructors to have their home page be modules. I don't have that yet, but I'm trying to adjust. My home page is currently the course summary because I like what it does actually better in the Canvas app. It's a little bit more manageable in my mind. It's a little more digestible to just see the big list. Personally, still working on it. Things might change, but the principles are what you want to focus on. There's also sometimes you can have a homepage where in Canvas there's a syllabus and then there's a concourse syllabus. The syllabus page is what Canvas used to use, and it has this course summary. When you are if that's what you're dealing with on the app, I'm going to try and hold this up and do it better than I did in another video. When you are dealing with the app, if you've already had the dashboard, have your course on the dashboard and can get to it, that's good. When you're dealing with the app, though, sometimes you have to drill down into the home page. So I'm going to go to this same course screen in the home page. And if you're here, you can see that, so let's get it right. You can see that whatever the home page is, I actually have to drill down into it. Now, how I have it right now, the full list of course assignments in chronological order from first day of class down based on due date, it'll stay that order no matter what. And that's one of the reasons I really like it. But you do have to drill down through that home button. Now, I may choose to add something to this course over here. And if I do, I might give contact information or something like that. It's important to know how the technology works, because if I change that, this course summary will actually disappear. And there will be two tabs at the bottom of the phone app screen where one says course summary and the other has whatever I would usually have at the top here, my contact information, a funny meme. I've done it a variety of ways, but you need to know how the technology works. You need to be aware of that. So that's one thing to be aware of. Start cruising around and see what you can touch and what you can't touch, and things that are weird. For instance, in my course, I like to keep all of the files. I have them built into the course. They're built into a system. I now have them organized and numbered. I have them with an APA form of citation at the beginning where I've got the author and the date of publication and a partial title because I don't want file names being too long. They are numbered, though the numbering is, it's not a particular order. It's just kind of so there's something to key them in aside from alphabetical order, which I'm still deciding on. As I look at that sort of thing, I also have a secondary categorizing system of handouts. And so some of those are cheat sheets that I've made based on thesis statements or paragraphing or whatever, or they could, or stakeholder analysis, or they could be helpful resources that I like to give students that are more practically oriented, and like this is something you use to do writing instead of learn writing, like the scholarly articles. Most of the readings in my course, at least, tend to be 40 to 50% from a specific textbook, at least at this point, another 40% from PDFs like this, and another 20% of your own research as you look at your own personalized versions of a project. So that's, I just want you to be aware that if you're struggling to find things in my course, it might just be under files. Most of the time, so we'll call that good. The only other thing I wanted to say about knowing Canvas is sometimes you can do things that make it easier to use the technology all around. Specifically with Canvas, you can actually go into your account, and if you haven't done this yet, you can build a profile. You can do settings for the whole program. You can look at, and you can turn on notifications, and this is actually a really important one. The profile is a good idea because having a picture, and I don't know why mine isn't showing up, I've changed it a couple times, but for some reason Safari isn't reading it lately. But having a picture helps, is actually more personal, and so it makes it easier for us to know who you are. Having a profile set and a little bit of background, I think I've got some in there, so my students, if they go under people or go look me up in Canvas, they can actually learn a little bit more about me, and kind of some of the things I have. I've got my YouTube channel linked there, what my position is, where I've been for the last 8 years doing things, but more importantly and more practically, just to make sure, again, like we said, that you're being able to communicate, that the program's communicating with you in the best way, that you're getting the information you need when you need it, is to turn on notifications. And this can be, and I'll do it on the phone here in a minute if I can find it on the phone. I have to remember. But you can actually tie your original email address, your Maricopa email address, to notifications. If you download the Canvas student app, which please do, it will make your life so much easier if you haven't already. If for no other reason than it gives you notifications. But you can have it connected to any device you have Canvas on. You can also add another email if you want and change the notifications for that. So if you have a personal email, I don't recommend using it. I recommend using your student email. If you remember the 2016 presidential election, having emails go through the correct channels kind of became a huge point. No matter what side of the aisle you're on or which political party or whatever, you can acknowledge that sending emails through the most appropriate channels is a good idea. Still, if you have a better email that you use more regularly or can check more easily, feel free to add it and turn on notifications. As a student, if I were a student, I would turn on notifications for all of these. You can decide. I would suggest turning all of them on, all of these on, no matter what, so that you can get those notifications. And then if it ends up being too much, or some of them you don't really feel like you need, you can always go in and adjust and play with those as you go. For instance, I just realized that the reason I'm not getting immediate discussion post notifications for students is because I had it only doing once a day, and I was wondering that in the spring semester. So ta-da, I should have done this myself. But I would, as a student, I would go through and I would turn all of these things on to make sure that that I'm getting the communications, I'm getting alerts as soon as things change. You can get alerts when assignments are updated. You can get alerts when your materials are graded. You can get alerts when comments are posted to your assignments. So go in, turn all of them on, put the check mark so that you get notified right away. And do it so that it goes through push notifications and your email address. That's the best way to really get that going. So I recommend going through, know how your technology works, whether it's Canvas or if you're at another institution and stumble across this video, figure out how it works for you and how your teacher has designed the course. A lot of teachers have flexibility on how the course is designed. Not all teachers, though the whole COVID thing has increased the amount of online training teachers have. Not all teachers know the best visual design or the best user experience design principles, and because they've been so focused on learning what their specialization content is. So I'm not going to fault any teacher for not knowing how to work Canvas. It is something that we often grow in over time. But for that reason, the practical thing for students to do is know how to work Canvas. So, and unfortunately, that's kind of the burden that academia puts on students, is they have to do most of the work and learn to take in information in a healthy way. So, altogether, explore whatever online technology you're supposed to be dealing with. Turn on notifications. Make sure you know how to message your instructor. Those are all three really important things that you want to be able to do as you go through to try and figure out what's going on with the course, or as you go to be successful in a course. Know how to communicate through whatever technology you're given. For my students, I have things that they can Canvas inbox me. They can send me an official text message. That text message goes to the Google Voice app, so I could respond to it on my phone. I have the Google Voice app send it to my Maricopa email for Chandler Gilbert, so that I get an email, I get a text message on my phone, and I get a voice app message. So I get all three of those. And because I have my teacher email on the Gmail app in my phone, when students text me, because I care about being accessible, because how else are you supposed to learn if you can't access your teachers? Right? Just saying. I actually get 3 different notifications on my phone if you message me, if you send a text message through the Google Voice app. I get the Gmail email, I get the official SMS text message through my phone service, and I get the Google Voice app message. So that's cool. You should also know that if I turn on notifications, I can also have anything you send in my Canvas inbox sent directly to my teacher email, which I do have set up. I'm not saying every teacher has that, but you can kind of test out and see. If at any point you can't figure out how to contact a teacher, remember most institutions have teachers' official emails in directory, even if they for some reason have not put it on the syllabus, or for whatever reason it's not connected to the learning management system, Canvas, Moodle, Blackboard, whatever you have, Google, what is it? I can't remember. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that. Hopefully it helps. I was trying to be practical. Oh, no, that's not all I was going to say, because I was going to show you how to do notifications if you have the app. So if you have the app, let's get there first. So if you have the app, you go to the top 3. Let's do it. See if I can do it backwards. You do top 3. And you can go to your profile and look at things. So when you're here, you go to the little settings wheel. This would be a lot easier if I had a dot cam. But I go to my settings, and I can go profile settings, account settings, push notifications, and I can turn those on. I can go look and see what my push notifications show, and so can you as a student. So hopefully, and then go through and turn all of those on so you get all the fun notifications. Cool? Hopefully this has helped. Sorry if it's drawn on longer. That's really not uncommon. My strength is not concision or clarity sometimes, or a limitation of words. I'm better if I can say it 5 different ways, if I can say the same thing 5 different ways. That's my strength. Not everyone would call it a strength, though. Thank you for listening. Hopefully it's helped. Have a good day.